Today, our guest is Cheryl Hayes. Cheryl is an accomplished human behavioral strategist and researcher with over 25-year experience, bringing a diverse perspective from her background in sales and marketing, legal research, and clinical psychological counseling field. Cheryl holds the highest level of recognition and Research Society of Australia with formal training in behavioral science, double major in psychological legal policy analysis, the postgrad qualification in management and strategic planning. She is also a member of the IPA, Institute of Analytical Professionals in Australia. Cheryl has successfully managed and consulted on thousands of studies ranging from small scale ones to the multi-tiered longitudinal project with a sample of nearly 50,000 in one study. Cheryl regularly works with many of Australia's top 100 companies and presented to many board CEOs, executives, and federal and state government. So it helped me to welcome today in our show, Cheryl Hayes. Cheryl, welcome to my show. Thank you for accepting my request and joining me today.
Thank you, Priya, for inviting me. A joy.
It's pleasure. We have been talking a lot about your journey, your project, and your achievements you have been doing so far. It is amazing to see and understand what you actually do. So, for our audience, would you like to say something about your journey? We would love to hear about that.
Okay. Yes. Well, my journey has, and hopefully will continue for a long time. It has. It's an ongoing journey that has started back to my love of understanding people, and it's gone from psychology into counselling, into legal research, into customer service, but ultimately understanding what makes people tick is what I loved, and that's why I've basically fallen into my field and then loved it from there on.
Sure.
And Paragon evolved from there.
Wow. The name is very unique. So where did you think about this name?
Oh, that is a very good question. This was branding is something I researched, so I overanalyze things at the best of times. And Paragon actually has a number of meanings. It's a pearl found at the bottom of the ocean, which is the largest pearl. It's also a diamond of a large carat. It's also a model of excellence.
Right.
So I thought, that's beautiful. And it has a masculine element to it, and some of my industry is masculine. So
yeah, right. And you love researching data.
Oh, yes, I'm a giant nerd on the inside. Yes, I love data. I love statistics. I enter debates on LinkedIn all the time related to linear regression and discrete analysis. I love data because it explains human behavior. Yes, I love data.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that, how the availability of data actually changed the whole marketing perspective. And being aware about, future and the market and knowing your segment well in advance, it's just changed the whole aspects of marketing, isn't it?
Oh, you're spot on. You're spot on. And I see, I'm an armchair analyst on many campaigns, and I watch and I go, hats off to some campaigns, because I think you have got a great researcher, a great strategist, a great executor, and your copywriting and content is brilliant. You're spot on. And I can tell what markets are after. I can tell. But then you see the campaigns, they're not hitting the mark, and you analyze that. But ultimately, how do you get into the head and the heart and the gut instinct of a person? And how do you connect with them on different levels? That's what it's all about.
Yeah. And I remember we were talking about in the past being more intent-based marketing, don't pollute the ocean. It's like an internetation. People are actually dumping the information and blogs. And one blog is the copy of another blog, is just the some wordings are changed, but to be honest, the context is the same, and people are getting bored. They want something fresh and new. And I think your data research in past when we were discussing, I found is very intriguing that, it brings that missing element of having that intention and intent to the right audience. What would you like to say about it?
Well, I say you need to sit in the mind and the feet of the consumer.
Yeah.
And whether that is a tradesperson, whether that is a double income, no kids household, whether that's whatever market, you need to sit in their shoes, talk to them, understand them, and then see how they see the world.
Yeah.
How do they consume media?
Yeah.
And how do they see brands, services, products? What makes it the most convenient distribution channel for them to have the attention, the interest, the consider? That's what you need to do, I think, before you do a scattergun approach in the market, which is exactly what you were talking about, which is what I see when I wake up and I look at Facebook and all of a sudden there's an ad about sneakers or this or that, and I'm just getting bombarded because I accidentally looked at sneakers the other day.
Yeah. And see, the thing is, you've been watched,
I know.
watched all the time. The Google AI and many other softwares and social media platforms are actually improving their AI day by day.
Yeah.
They are looking for your interest and behavior and psychometrics. Everybody is working. It's been very manipulated, to be honest. Not exactly we would agree, but this is how market is working.
Yes. Look, I agree. I have opinions on that. I think it's great for the people that want to advertise and share a voice and share a market and so forth. And if you're a commodity product and you want to profile Priya at this particular time, you look at, and they can actually see how long you've looked at an ad, not just you've looked at it or actually clicked on it. How long? So they've got a profile of you living there. So I totally understand how it works, and it is wonderful as an analyst, but also scary when Siri talks to me from another room.
So you feel like somebody's always looking up to you, which is kind of a security insecurity both. So I think we kind of a sign up with this internet world, and we decided okay, we want this freedom and this facility, but how much we want to compromise for this facility? That's another ethical question we don't want to dive in today, but that's another ethical question we keep asking as a data analyst, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. It's a balance. How about that? A balance.
Yeah, that's how it is. So Cheryl, you have a lifetime spent on market research and studying human behavior.
Yeah.
Right? Market research is an important tool for business to measure consumer response of an existing or a new product or service. Is human behavior predictable to such a degree of precision and clarity?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Within an error margin, with well-designed research, and I can't emphasize this enough because it's one of the lessons I've learned in research over the last quarter of a century. Yeah. If you sample and survey 100 people and you have 100,000 customers and you only use an online or a pop-up survey on your site, what's your non-sampling error bias? How many people could actually have the same opportunity to be involved? That's an error margin.
Yeah.
So you have an error margin on data. So when you want to predict behavior, if it's an extending service and they're engaged customers and you know the brand, you can make precise decisions, and I've done them before. I've been within 5% of sales for a massive tourism client of what they will achieve doing a pricing elasticity study and understanding that. So yes, it can. However, I think people are forgetting the theory behind it and the sampling composition and the coefficients that go behind it. And I'm going to sound nerdy now, but there are so many elements that go behind the survey design. You can't just say, would you like to buy this product? Why not? Who's going to answer that? Do you have is it a simple random sample? Is it a convenient sample? There's all these elements, but ultimately to answer your question, yes, you can. Yes, you can within a degree of confidence. Yes.
Yeah. So there is a part of human element is always involved, in
Yes.
the precision one. So that brings to my next question. The
Okay.
incredible growth of e-commerce in the recent times seems to
Oh.
turn upside many of our conventional wisdom or customer relationship. People are buying products online with hardly any direct interaction with the seller. Even now, many societies, people prefer to visit a shop, and see the product and have a touch and feel experience before placing in order. Beyond the current pandemic, how do you see the future of e-commerce and online marketing?
Oh, that's a big prediction you've asked me there. Thanks, Priya. But what I see is there's always going to be growth in e-commerce. I think for the small purchase, ticket items, a t-shirt, whatever, easy to buy, not a problem, click, buy, convenience. And we're all for instant gratification
Yeah,
as society moves on. However, big ticket items, you want to research, and there's a purchasing cycle and funnel involved in that. So that's when I think that people will want to get more engaged,
yeah,
and they'll want to trust the brand and the warranty and so forth, because they're spending more money. It's not a
yeah,
$10 thing that they're buying.
yeah,
Post pandemic, my prediction is I think it will go back to the levels that it was before the pandemic, because I know e-commerce has gone through the roof because you
yeah,
can't go out to a shopping centre.
yeah,
However, people will want that experiential type of, let's go to the mall for the day.
yeah, yeah,
And they'll want to go there. They may window shop, but there will be that slice of the market that love the touch and feel. And I think that will go up a little. I
yeah.
think that will go up because people by nature love interacting with humans.
Yeah, for sure. It's just that I feel like it's a social element you cannot remove, to be
Yeah,
honest. Um,
exactly.
I think there will be a proper balance will be there in the future. It's still, you see, through the e-commerce, what we can do, we use our intellectual brain and our eye, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we don't use our touch senses in that,
Mm.
and we just see and say, okay, it's nice, but the feeling which you get by the touch will not come by the
Mm.
eyes.
That's right. Exactly. And we all have the different senses. And I always think the perfect branding, if you could come up with it, the eyes, the smell, the taste, the hearing, the touch, boom, you've got the
Yeah,
market.
yeah. You need to think about all that five senses, and as well as so-called six senses, where sometimes
Yeah.
we have to
Oh,
use.
yes. The gut, the fight and flight.
So
Exactly.
the gut part will be always involved, like, okay, I think it will work.
Yes. I think I look great in this. However, is this mirror making me look skinny? Because it may not.
Yeah, so that's the, I don't think it is gonna go away, and I would love to see that, because I think we grew up in an era where e-commerce was not much popular.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it will coexist together. I think it's a demand for coexistence right now.
Yes.
you know
And definitely, and over the last 2 decades, showing my age in research, I have watched and actually studied e-commerce and different businesses going online. And there is a need, there is a growth, and the millennials and different types of segments of the market are more in tune with that. And they want instant gratification. They want convenience. They don't want to wait. They're a different mindset of not wanting to wait. So the purchasing cycle has a differing timing for them.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I believe that also the purchasing cycle will also be helpful for the people who are sometimes, all these billionaires and millennials, they have the people who actually do the shopping for them. It also makes them convenient to identify, rather than carrying all this catalog thing. So it's like solves a
There,
lot of problem for the busy people.
it is a marketer's dream to,
Yeah.
I may say, if it's a marketer's dream, if that was my market, it's a dream to be
Yes.
able, because Facebook, when the pandemic hit, the smart companies, rather than usually during economic downturn, people reduce their budgets by between 30 to 60% on average.
Yeah.
And they don't realize brand equity doesn't come back up until 3 years later. So
Yeah.
the smart companies realize, guess what? We've got the share of the market. We can go Facebook ads for half the price, or Insta, or any other platform that they want to use. So they just bombard the market, and millennials are sitting at home. They're usually always sitting at home. They're enjoying the pandemic. And sorry for any millennials, however, they will just click, buy. So they are a captive audience that you're communicating to, that you understand from AI and machine-based learning, is a marketer's dream.
Yeah. And also you can actually, I have noticed some of the big brands started giving you the sizing and all those things and return back guarantee and all that. That's gonna be actually, it is actually a market game changer, to be honest.
Yeah. You know? I don't know. Personally, myself, I would not buy a large ticket item on that. I just wouldn't. I got sent just this morning, someone, and this made me laugh, and I thought they'd actually put my name on a T-shirt. Cheryl, don't underestimate me. That'll be fun. That was a slogan on a T-shirt. That was an ad. I thought, hold on, who's this from? that is a slogan, and they wanted me to buy the T-shirt. It was only $9.99. That's just an example where I'd go, it's only that much money. I'll go buy it.
Yeah.
However, then I know if I buy it, I'm going to get bombarded with like products from there on.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But I'm pretty sure that people are trying to change and speed up the process through the e-commerce, and it has a good future for sure.
Oh, definitely.
But that's for the product industry. The service industry where we deal with, it's still, see, like consulting businesses, there are a lot of business owners, consulting businesses are there. I think it's still very required being there, discussing the is still roundtable discussion is we miss it, to be honest.
I know, and that's why we've spoken a number of times, and I enjoy our conversations. You're a very smart lady, and and collaborations and joint ventures. And I got asked to be a subject matter expert by The Answer Is Yes, which is an online training company, and I'm one of 30 trainers, and I am now doing online training. So I'm teaching people how to design a survey. So these collaborations have been wonderful, which I never would have realized without a conversation. A little ad telling me to buy a sneaker would not have realized that. So yes, professional services definitely it's a different market.
Yeah, I feel like when I was in I feel like it's a balance requirement. So still I am missing some of my consulting time, which I used to go in the offices and actually discuss the big boardroom, sticking things around. But I still enjoy the current movement, because sitting in my own office, in home office, I can actually communicate throughout the world, right? I'm talking to Indians, I'm talking to Malaysians, Singapore, US, like, word has no limit.
I know.
I'm literally living into the global village right now.
It's wonderful. I think it's wonderful. I always see things in a positive, and I always see it as opportunity, and I think it's great. And if anything, for example, when everyone says pivot, I don't like that word. I had to adapt my methodologies in the pandemic. I couldn't do face-to-face focus groups anymore. I had to do them online. But guess what? What's the advantage? I had someone from New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia, all over the place. Otherwise, I have to fly to those places and live out my suitcase again, which I didn't enjoy.
So not only the financial burden is there, but also we are actually contributing to the environment, like taking the flight and all those traffic and all that things. We are contributing to environment headache as well.
True. True. Yes.
So it's lovely. We are social people. We all need social life. I'm not saying
Yes.
that this should continue. I was talking to one of a big organization. They are CPA practices, and they were discussing that they initially it was like little hard, but then once it is set up, they found their 28% increment in the productivity of their resources.
Wow. Okay.
28%. This is, they are cutting off those coffee time, chit chat time in office. I'm saving my electricity bill and all that things. He said, and the resource productivity. Whereas other hand, the other people were actually talking about, no, I'm thinking it was okay when it was completely locked down, but then when little bit open, the people are actually doing their household things as well at the same time. But out of this conversation and two different case study, what I figured out that it's more about the placing the system, right? Maybe that 28% increment, that guy has better system to deal with the online resourcing and all that reporting system, time management and all that to their resources, and that they have to report properly, they have to work properly, so that system may be helping him to increment, and he might be actually looking after the resources by compensating or giving them some kind of carrots to keep
Like
that
incentive.
enthusiasm level going, something different they are doing. And I think that's something corporate has to revisit and see how they can actually improve that possibility. That will solve a lot of problems for infrastructure and traffic and all that.
I totally agree, and I've always been a fan of, if let the people work how they want to work, they know the time frame. If you delegate the task, you delegate the responsibility. If they know the task, they know the budget, they deliver on time, that's their business. I don't care if they do it in their room, where they do it.
Yeah.
Just get it done.
Yeah. As long as that budget and timeline is matched, I'm okay. Right?
Same here.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good thing, because people are happier that way. They're not
Yeah.
forced into a commute of some people I know in Sydney have to get on the train for an hour. That hour I know they'd spend working and doing things, and they'd be more happier. So why force them into that? Why not give the flexibility to people? Yeah. I've always been a fan of that. I've been a fan of that.
And if not that, they are spending time with the family. So ultimately, a happy person can only deliver the happy environment to you.
Yeah, perfect.
So I think there should be a balanced consideration on this point. And whatever hesitance was there earlier, about working on or at home and all those things, I think that is gone. That is gone. The people got their lesson. So
I agree. And I actually thought it was when all these articles and I was getting sent all these videos and everything on LinkedIn was saying how to work at home, how are you going to just, I thought, wow, I'm rather fortunate, and had a little chuckle to myself, to be honest, because I lived out of a suitcase for 10 years and I would travel non-stop, and wherever I woke up, if I had a laptop, I'm working.
Yeah.
Pretty much, I had to adapt to those different environments. So everyone teaching an adaptation to different areas is lovely. Some people do need that.
Yeah.
However, I believe if you just need to do what you do, it doesn't matter where you are. I could be at the local coffee shop. I need to do this, and I do it.
Yeah, that's for sure. So that brings me to my social context.
Yes.
So social media is a huge influence on our views and opinion today. It's a comment often, appearing wild and unrestrained. Do you feel that some control on social media is justified?
Oh, you're making me think the Trump and Biden debate.
It's interesting to see.
Okay. There's many schools of thought on this. If there's censors, who are they? Who is going to censor them? And then it also imparts upon our civil liberties to voice our opinion. So then who's getting the share of voice? And then if there is a control of social media, who are they and who's controlling them? it's like a never-ending minefield of control.
Yeah.
So, and it's been proven, it's been well proven, you can sway and move societal opinion and influence and persuasion. You can change political polls on the basis of controlling social media. It's well proven. The question is, who is going to control it?
Yeah.
What are their interests? What are their agenda?
Yeah.
But I do see policing in some areas, and I did have a researcher that worked for me in a policing area where there were things that shouldn't have been put on
Yeah.
social media and they needed to be removed. So I see a level, but I asked to what degree.
Yeah, I mean, I believe like olden days when news media, right? News media was there, and when all that media houses were literally regulated, not highly regulated, but they were kind of regulated, and every news has to be verified and all. According to the recent survey, I was reading one blog and research paper, something like that. That guy says that there are a lot of people who are actually creating the fake news are actually older people,
Okay.
and what happens, people are actually trusting them because they look authoritative.
Okay.
Right?
So I need to look older.
Yeah. So when you look authoritative, the baby boomers and the youngsters are thinking, oh, he's senior, he's that experience, and he looks big body. Maybe he's right, but and that is causing a lot of issue. But
yes.
So, and I think, and that's why there are a lot of contribution on social media for violence and other issues are also, debatable how much that kind of thing I think it should be regulated for sure.
Yes.
Because
agreed.
right now there is no control, right?
Yeah, I agree with that. When it comes to the law and regulations, definitely should. And that should be from the legal authorities, I believe. When it comes to people voicing their opinion, look, I don't know if anyone has seen or if you've seen The Social Dilemma, the documentary, and anyone that hasn't, I urge you to watch it. And I've spoken to my software engineer, and it is a minefield. And look, it's reality. That's how we live at the moment. However, these people that own the power, you have to wonder how they're swaying opinion. And I've seen it happen. I've befriended people because they have totally changed their opinion on things based on certain articles. So it's a tough
and also
time.
Sometimes they are putting the wrong argument by backing up by those fake news and fake blogs and all. So
yes, and to take your point further, journalistic integrity is very important. And what's happening now is a copy and paste mentality. They have to get something out in the morning. So copy, paste, reference. They're not going back, and I am a fan, obviously, with data. Go back to the raw data. Where's your reference? Where did you get that from? No one's doing that. They're just, that was said there, I'll say that there. It's lazy journalism.
For sure.
And that's what's creating fake news, I believe.
And too much replication. It's like 8,000 blog every day from Australia.
Oh gosh, who has the time?
And just on one topic, forget about the different domains. So I'm just think about the populous country. What is going to happen? We are not that popular.
Oh gee whiz, I don't have all that time to read.
And every day new tool is introduced, not one or two, couple of hundreds of tools are introduced in the market, and it is always a confusion which to choose, when to go, where to go. It's a lot of dilemma going on, not only being a marketer, but also there are a lot of confusion going on, the kind of people sending the reviews and all those things. So these are the problems also needs to be addressed by some kind of a regulation, but it should have also given the freedom of speech to the general public as well. It's an opportunity.
I totally agree, and I did I've done a few studies in this area actually, and consumer consumption, and also the level of respect and trust in certain authorities. And I did one like 20 years ago with genetically modified food, but more recently I did one, and there are certain websites that are independently reviewed, that like the choice website. That
Right.
people will go to that. That forums, they could be moderated. You can have other people swaying the opinion, but there are certain websites which people will go to in the
Yeah.
know that know you can trust this,
Right.
or at least take some credence to it.
Yeah, interesting. So, what has been this impact of technology on marketing? Is digital marketing all about scale and reach, or has some depth been added on it?
Ooh, okay. Digital marketing, complex area, fine balance. Externally, there's different elements to this. If you want the reach and just to saturate the market, you go for the ad I got this morning with the t-shirt, right? You just bombard, reinforce, and you hit as many people as possible. And the analytical tools within certain social media are so advanced and so sophisticated, they can profile similar profiles. And during the pandemic, it's a lot cheaper, so you just spend. You
Yeah.
spend.
Yeah.
And that's it. You'll make money. You'll make money. However, if it's a larger ticket item, if it's professional services like we're in,
Yeah.
we can't put an ad on and say, hey, trust me, buy my brain, because ultimately that's what you're doing. You're buying a brain.
Yeah. Yeah.
and a team of experts. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
And our experience and so forth. So it depends on the industry and the category. I think there is definitely a place. And I think sometimes people get it wrong and they bombard and it turns people off and it leads to mistrust. I think you need to connect. I always go back to research. Connect with the consumer through their eyes at the time they want to purchase that product or service. And if not, engage,
Yeah. Yeah.
educate, inform. And yeah.
I think professional services are all about educating people.
Yes.
Unfortunately, there are, I am seeing, I was like monitoring and researching a little bit on the editorial materials, and I noticed there are more attention people are paying on sensational articles or some kind of a conflicting article than actual proper educational detailed content.
Well, that's concerning. See, I see part of my role as educating my clients, and during during any project, I feel it is part of my role to explain the implications of the methodology, what we're going to do, and the process and everything else. And I'll say, we can do this and we can't do that. And I'll be completely honest. And I'll just say, look, if you want to do that, we can't do it in that budget. So,
yeah.
So education is huge. Professional services, it's about credibility.
Yeah. And that brings to my last question is like, technology is actually bringing a lot of depth. I do appreciate the way AI is actually turning out and the future is actually forming, especially in my marketing area. I'm noticing marketing intelligence is contributing a lot, to do a proper marketing rather than actually some kind of a random campaign. Do you agree with that?
Well, I think the marketing mix has totally changed. Like, it used to be all about above the line, the radio, the print, and the TV. There was below the line like 10 years ago, and then you got the websites, the outdoor, and all the rest of it. And there was a fine balance. Now, social media probably dominates about 80%. But then you have to think of the internal resources. And this is where I see some of my clients, unfortunately, getting the balance wrong, because you have a product manager, marketing manager, social media manager. You have all these different compartments that are all competing for a budget. So you try and work out that marketing mix and who's in charge of who and who's going to get that budget.
I discussed about you that, like, when I go in my corporate strategy, I find it like most of the departments are actually working in their own silo. Rather than communicating and creating a streamline from one department to other. Marketing is working in their own direction than the sales department. So they don't know each other's objectives and the goal. So how are they going to support? So that's one of the gap I find during my corporate strategy when we work on it. So
I find exactly the same. I find what I love about the size of Paragon, and you probably find this about your organisation, is we can move quickly. We can, if we see a change or anything, we can move quickly. We can align all our messages. Boom, we
Yeah.
see a product in the market. We don't have the red tape. We don't have to pass it to several other departments.
Yeah.
It's the same issues, but on a larger scale, pretty
Yeah.
much with larger organizations.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. It was a really nice discussion, and I'm
Thank
sure
you.
the people will find very interesting our discussion, and they will learn a lot. If they have any question and they want to reach you out, how they can find
Yes.
you?
Okay, well, you could look at my website, which is Paragon Research, www.paragonresearch, or one word, .com.au, or Google Cheryl Hayes.
Sure. And all the details will be given below in our description, and you can find her, reach her out. She's very active on LinkedIn and other social media, and very responsive as well. Thank you so much, Sharon, for today.
Thank
It
you.
was really nice communication, and we
Yes,
look forward to have some further discussion about another
yes.
topic.
As do
Thank you
I,
so much.
Priya. Thank you. Lovely to see you again, and have a lovely long weekend.
Thank you.